Hi guys, hope you're all well. It's been way too long since I've done a pre-record, but I thought I should do one for the end of the season because it's been crazy and we've got some absolutely brilliant guests. So to start off, we have someone making their debut, Mr. Dan Bennett, 7 times in the top 5K, way high in the Hall of Fame ranks. Mr. Bennett, how are you?
Hi, Ray. Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Yes, thanks for inviting me on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's been had a couple of weeks off, but it's still fresh in the memory of the last season. So yeah, looking forward to reviewing
Excellent,
before the
man.
game launches in a week or two. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it will all be crazy. We all say that we don't look forward to it, but I never believe people.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's my man. Next up, we have, making their second appearance on the show, we got Mr. Abdul Rehman. He has finished in top 5K 6 times. Salam alaikum, Abdul. How are you, brother?
Walaikum salam. I'm good, Ray, mate. How are you?
Very well, man. Very well. It's been a while since I've done anything on my channel, and I thought, you know what, let's go with a splash. And you answered those calls, man. You got the check, yeah?
Got it.
You got it, yeah? Yeah. Wait 2 weeks, yeah? That's when it will clear. Okay. And next up, we got someone else who's also appeared on the channel before. We got 2019-2020 FPL winner, Mr. Joshua Ball. Josh, how are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I was saying to Abdul and Dan that it's been so long since I've done something on the channel. I wanted to really hit it home, and very happy that you guys answered the bat signal. So I think we'll just fly straight into it, and maybe Abdul, you could start with your own personal season summary, bud. Just what your thoughts are. I know we spoke a little bit about how crazy it's been this year, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I had overall quite a good season. I finished around about 3K. So, a great season. But to be honest, I think I kind of share the same thoughts as Dan and probably Josh as well. It's been quite a taxing season, in terms of like the planning and how many double game weeks we had. It's been totally different to previous seasons, in the sense we've had so many double game weeks. And it's been totally different in terms of chip strategies. So obviously we've got the second free hit this season as well. So yeah, I think overall it's been a great season. It's been fun, but it's been really taxing. And at the start of the season, if you offered me a top 5K finish, I would have bitten your hand off. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, Dan, maybe if you want to add to that, buddy, and obviously give your own experience.
Yeah, for sure. It's as Abdul said, there's been a lot of talk at the end of the season about is top 10K still the aim for a lot of managers, and for me it is, and it probably always will be, but it's definitely harder and harder to achieve it. Yeah, and this season is very strange, wasn't it? I think for me, I enjoyed it because I got off to a good start, as most of us did. The template was so strong game week 1, with Bruno Fernandes and Salah both hauling, and from there it just, I don't know, it was a gradual rise through the ranks. It was difficult, as Abdul says, with all the postponements, but I think that played into our hands somewhat. It was tiring. It was hard work, but for the engaged manager, the opportunities were definitely there with the multiple game weeks, double game weeks. It was hard work. I don't think we'll see the like of this again. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. I'm looking forward to next season already. Although next season, I'm sure it'll have its own challenges, such as the World Cup break we'll have. But yeah, it's. I'm sure we'll get into a bit more detail, but it was good. I enjoyed it in the end. I was glad for it to finish, but it's the same top 3K for me. So it was nice. Good season.
Fantastic. And Josh, yourself?
Yeah, I can't decide from one game week to the next whether I was enjoying this season or not. It was really, it was kind of all over the place. So I think I was kind of the opposite to a lot of people, where I had a lot of 50-50 choices at the start, which all went against me. And then in the second half of the season, it was the complete reverse. And I was just kind of steamrolling my way up. So yeah, I quite enjoyed the end of it, like the last 10 game weeks or so. But yeah, it's finished 24k, something like that. Which yeah, I was kind of happy with given the poor start. But yeah, like I say, ask me one day to the next, and I'll give you a different answer probably.
I think after winning the thing, Josh, I must just feel disappointed with the season.
I mean, it is weird, right? Because I just don't really know if I have a goal in it anymore. I'm just kind of like playing, but then, you know, I'd like to do well, but also I don't really care that much if I don't. So it's a little bit funny. I guess it means I can take it less seriously than a lot of people do. So that's always a good thing.
It was it was. I remember, Josh, when you came on my channel, start of last season, and we were discussing it, and because I was saying to Abdul and Dan before you joined that I was kind of doing the homework and watching the videos that we did together. I did with Abdul as well, and also the spaces that we did together, Dan, with the FPL way. And one thing you said that you almost feel you have to do better the next season after winning the thing, simply because you want to show a sustainability of being a good manager. And I think, I mean, Dan and Abdul, you can add to this. You'd know better than myself, but getting into that top 40, 50k, I think that's showing that you're a good manager, especially if you can maintain sustainable rank gains. And I think by you doing that, Josh, you've almost kind of shown everyone it wasn't just like a one season wonder. Where I've seen some of the ranks of some people that have won it. It's absolutely insane. I've seen like 700,000-800,000 and then suddenly they win it. But you've always kept within that top 50, 60k. And I think that's great for your, is reputation the right word? I don't really know, but
yeah, I mean, I guess because I've got a good kind of 3.5, 4 seasons worth on there where I technically had a team, but like I wasn't playing. And then the first time I started kind of properly taking it seriously was then the season that I won it. And I kind of thought, I don't want people to look at that and be like, oh, it was clearly just blind luck because like it was crap for those 3 seasons. And then suddenly, and I think like the last 2, I've shown that I do vaguely know what I'm doing, but like I'm a long way off the track record of like guys like Abdul, like consistently getting up in the top 10k. I think is a real, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do.
Well,
So,
Abdul and Dan,
hopefully next season.
Well, Abdul and Dan, I want to ask you this question. Would you rather win it and then kind of be within the 50, 60k ranks? Remember, all you get for winning it is like a squishy ball, apparently. Or would you, or would you like... Perfect. I want to clip that.
Easy to have, yeah.
Now, can you get it on eBay? Probably. Or would you rather have the sustainability of having, like 15 top 5k ranks between you? I mean, yeah.
It's funny actually because I was scrolling through Twitter this morning and I seen a poll. I can't remember who it was now, but it said, "Would you rather win the whole thing or have 10 consecutive top 10ks?" And I voted 10 consecutive. Sorry, so no, the question was win the whole thing and finish it outside the 500k every season after, or top 10 consecutive top 10ks. And I voted 10 consecutive top 10ks, just because I think that proves you're a better manager and good at the game. And I think just kind of like it's like if you're doing like kind of FPL like as a career now, like for example, which I do, and I think Dan's starting to do as well. I think that's more important than actually winning the thing once and then having like poor seasons thereafter. So yeah, I'd go for the kind of consistency over a long period personally.
I recall the poll. I can't either remember who posted it, but I think I voted the same way as you. Although when Ray initially posed the question just then, my initial reaction was to win it. I think that's probably because we've got Josh here.
Don't worry, you're not going to make me feel bad. It's all right.
But, yeah, I guess the poll, I think it was, as Abdul said, it was finished first and then nowhere for the other season.
Yeah.
But I think as Ray posed the question, it was finished 40, 50k after seasons after that. I'd probably take the win.
Yeah, I think before I go on, sorry guys, I knew this would happen, but it's great
I
conversation
can't ask
as well.
Josh that question.
Josh, would you rather? Oh, never mind.
Honestly, I don't know the answer. I actually don't know the answer. I got to say win it, haven't I? But like, it's there's something, if you want to prove that you're good at the game, you've got to get a consistent top 10Ks. Like winning it is nice, but at the end of the day, like you could just get really, really lucky. And like, yeah. On the other hand, the squishy stress ball is pretty awesome. So I wouldn't. It's a tricky one. I wouldn't write it off.
Yeah, like see if they had a really good high prize, like for example, in Sky and Dream Team, as you know, like it's 50k for winning Sky, right?
Yeah.
And for winning the Dream Team is like 75k. So if they had like a really a high prize money, then definitely I'd go for the win, go for the money. But as you said, like the prizes when you think they've got almost 10 million players and like you win a stress ball and like a weekend away. Although it's a great prize, but when you kind of compare it to how many players you've got, 10 million, it's quite minuscule, isn't it?
I agree. No, great answers, guys. Abdul, I think we'll stick to you. What was your season highlight, positive wise?
What you mean, specific game week or?
Yeah, specifically for your team. Maybe something that happened where you're like, "Yep, I got that." I can think of you keeping Tony, which was amazing.
Oh yeah, that was one as well actually. But the one that just came to my mind was Captain Salah in game week 9, when a lot of people went Havertz, and there was also game week 22 when I captained Bruno. I think that was probably my most important game week because that was I captained Bruno that game week, but not many captained him, and I went from like 8k to 1k. So I think that kind of secured. I think that game week pretty much secured my top 10k finish. Really, it was a huge jump, and I kind of like really never really left the top 10k after that. So, game week 22 was a season highlight. Captain Bruno, but also keeping Tony. While everybody got rid of him, and him scoring that hat trick when he was like 0.5% owned. That was another, definitely up there in the Hall of Fame. A few good highlights this season. But yeah, I think that's probably my top 3. Yeah.
Josh? Josh, you there? We'll go to Dan while he thinks about it.
Oh, mine. Have I vanished?
Can you?
I can hear you now.
We can see you. Yeah.
You guys hear me? Oh,
Yes,
that was weird. I could hear you fine, but my bad.
No
Yeah, for me, another captain thing. So I captained Cancelo in game week 18 against Newcastle when he got that goal and assist and a clean sheet and all that jazz, which was like a bit of a turning point for me for the season, where it felt like I couldn't do anything right in the first half. There's nothing like a sort of differential captain to make you feel like, yeah, okay, actually now we're talking.
Yeah, Dan?
Yeah, I noted a couple down. It was partway through game week 29, one of the many doubles. I think I was top 500 partway through the game week. And I don't recall ever being that high before. So that was nice. I sort of was dreaming a little bit at that point. But by then, that was after 4 chips used in a row, consecutive game week. So
I remember, yeah.
It was always difficult to maintain it after that. But yeah, that was really nice. And the other, I don't really get many differential wins the way I play the game. It's very conservative, always picking the obvious players. But I did get a jammy Michael Keane auto sub one week. He got I think he got me an own goal a couple of weeks before, and there's a week when Cancelo didn't play. I got 13 points from Michael Keane off the bench, goal and clean sheet. So that was quite nice because it doesn't happen too often for me. So yeah, that was good.
Fantastic. We'll stick to you. on the worst. Now there were many for me, but yeah, you go ahead.
The worst. I think it was probably the back end of the season. It was game week 36 when the eventual winner this year was Jamie. He got like 201 points in the double game week, but I didn't have any chips. Well, I used free hit 2 in 37, but 36 going into 36, I was about 3k, and partway through that week, obviously keep track of the live ranks. I don't know if you guys do. Always having a quick check on live FPL, etc. But I dropped from 3k to like 12k. I was just not having a great week at all, and I was worried that the 10k that looked so secure for most of the season was in jeopardy. So that wasn't good. Eventually clawed it back with the 37 and 38 good weeks, but yeah, that wasn't pretty. I just wanted the season to end at that point.
Abdul?
Yeah, I think quite like around about game week 28. I think game week game week 26 is when a lot of people use their chips. I wasn't one of them, and I fell from like 1k to like 6k. From game week 26 to 29. I got totally battered. From the chip users. The guys who use it, like the wild card and the bench boost free hits during that period. So that was probably the worst moment of my season, because I didn't really recover fully from then. Although I had a great start to the season, so I was 1k at that point, and I was really honestly pretty much odds on. Like I was quite kind of really confident of getting that top 1k because I still had all my chips there, but that really kind of took me back. I didn't really recover, so because once I went from 1k to 6k, the highest I got again was like around about just outside the top 1,000. Didn't really make up those points, so I think that was my worst moment of the season. Again, just like Dan, like when I got to the kind of 6k point, I kind of thought, okay, there's actually a chance I could drop at the top 10k here, which looked pretty much so guaranteed. And so I think that's probably the worst moment of the season. I think saying that though, I think a lot of people were in the same position as me, but ended up like much worse off. Some people fell from like top 10k to like 30k, 40k. There's so many huge swings this game week, and that period between 26 and 29 was one of them, where people either flew up the ranks, or some people dropped like a stone, and there's a few other points in the season as well. I think that's what happens when you've got so many double game weeks, and obviously the kind of a lot more kind of a lot more chance of swings and variance, and I think that was really extreme this season. I've seen some brutal swings this season, guys, which were top 1k and fell down from like 1k to 30k and never really recovered. So so that was my personal worst moment of the season, but I think I'm pretty happy that it wasn't a disaster. It could have been a lot worse.
Excellent. And Josh?
So my low point was Abdul's high point, I think, really. So in that game week 9, I learned, no one's ever going to believe me on this, but genuinely, my gut was telling me, hey, bring in Mount, captain him, that'll be good. And I went to Twitter. This is what I've learned. Don't ask Twitter anything. Said to Twitter, oh, should I get Mount? And everyone went, no, get Havertz. So I got in Havertz, captained him, and the rest is history. Didn't get the benefit of the Salah captain. Didn't get any of those Mount points. Just pretty much summarised my season for me, really. I was so close to jumping one way and ended up down the hole. Never listening to Twitter again. Bad idea.
It's tricky.
Although Twitter is great, right? That's one lesson I've learned, Josh, is that because when you put your opinion out on Twitter, you'll get 10 different, 10 different opinions from 10 different people, and it's a lot of the time it's people who would are thinking about their own team and the decision that they would make, so they don't really know the dynamics of your own your team and your own decisions. So that's definitely one thing I've kind of calmed down a lot, is putting my team out on Twitter and asking opinions on Twitter, because again, as I said, it's just you're getting answers from left, right, centre. It just confuses you even more.
For sure. Yeah, also didn't help. It was a Friday night deadline. I was a couple of pints of cider in by that point.
I sometimes don't mind the Friday night deadlines. It gives you a Saturday morning off. But yeah, if you've had a couple of ciders, that's a different matter. I recall a couple of instances this season where, not the exact instances, but where Ray and I would message each other sort of the night before or the day of the deadline, sort of checking moves and whatnot. I can't remember the exact instance, Ray, but we said we'd do one thing, and then we sort of, the Twitter momentum on an hour up to the deadline sort of leaned the other way, and we sort of switched and went with the crowd, I think, but it didn't work out well. I can't recall exactly what it was, but it's tricky to when there's so many voices on Twitter. It's tricky to the FOMO as people.
Yeah, there's that as well.
It's tough. So it's tough sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, because especially this season as well. I don't know about you, but I've left transfers till 5 minutes before the deadline, just because of you never know what sort of news might come out with following that COVID postponements, etc. So yeah, it's tricky scrolling through Twitter 10 minutes before the deadline, trying to see what other people are doing, just to see if you've missed anything.
Yeah, I've got a litany of worse moments, but I think, but the I think the big one is, my job's in operations and project management, so planning is obviously just absolutely huge for me to earn a living. And FPL, I didn't feel like I could ever really plan properly ahead, because there was always that variance of there could be postponements, and like you said, Dan, you're going on Twitter and you're looking at loads of different opinions, and then it suddenly sways you. And how big is the Twitter bubble really in essence of the whole game? But I think I went on Harry Kane very early when Conte joined, and I remember writing a massive thread on what Conte's done with strikers in the past, like Lautaro Martinez and like Lukaku, and Kane never started. He didn't start until like game week 2021, and I think I went down from 22k to like 130k in like 4 weeks because I went with Harry Kane, because I was waiting, and yeah, he performed, but I didn't give a damn by then. So right, I think that's a really good segue to the next point. And Josh, I think I want you to start this now. Before you do, I'm going to set you up. Okay. I remember when we did our stream. And Abdul, I know you've been very vocal about this as well. When we did our stream, I think you told me you hadn't watched a game before Project Restart. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can't come down with Grass FC with that, can I? It's I just don't watch Premier League matches. Just not really. I don't have Sky or anything like that. At the time, I didn't have a TV license either, so that was fully out. Got the TV license now, but no Sky, no BT, nothing like that. So I've seen a few this season, just like going to the pub with friends and stuff, or sort of over Christmas when I'm like visiting family. But yeah, otherwise I'm entirely Analytics FC, for better or for worse.
Josh, see the season you won it. Like, did you watch football that season?
So round about Project Restart, I started watching a couple of games. And that was really because I was up near the top of the FPL league. And I was like, maybe I should pay attention to this.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd not watched any. I think I watched one at Christmas. Might have been my first one that season. Yeah, I should say though, there was a lot, especially that season. I was doing a lot of reading what everyone else's opinions were from the Grass FC point of view. So it's less me watching stuff and thinking, oh yeah, so-and-so looks good. And more like if there was a consensus on Reddit, then I was like, okay, maybe they're worth a punt. So maybe not fully stats-based, but kind of hive mind, maybe.
I'm looking to hear from Abdul, but I'm the same as Josh. I don't watch live matches. I can't remember the last time I watched a live Premier League game or full Premier League game. It's been years and years. I tried to watch Match of the Day, but even then, I'm not very good at watching that. I'll try. Sometimes I watch the Sky highlights on YouTube, but yeah, I rely on the eyesight test from all the content from secondhand via the content I watch. Watch lots of videos, and yeah, so I get other people's eye tests, which is probably better than my own eye test anyway. I'm not the biggest. I'm a big FPL fan, but football wise, my knowledge is not up to scratch as the content creators that I trust more than my own eye test.
Yeah, no, like I think it just proves that, you know, Josh, you pretty much won the whole thing without watching a single game. Dan, you know, you said you've not watched a match in years, and you know you've got like what 6 top 10Ks? Was it 6 top 5Ks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Top 5Ks.
Yeah, and you're top 20 in the Sky Hall of Fame. So I think that just proves, like, you know, I mean, it's if you're Grass FC, it's not like a kind of you know, I'm not you know, throwing any disdain towards that, but I think it's quite clear that, you know, the analytics side of the game is superior than the eye test, because it's not only like, you know, Josh and Dan. I know a lot of other top players, you know, who don't watch games, you know, don't know much about actual football, if you know what I mean, like, you know, the actual, you know what I mean by, you know, watching the games and, you know, like what systems the teams play, whether it's kind of 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. They just look at the, you know, the expected goal stats. They look at models. They look at, you know, the football stats, what's in front of them, you know, the cold hard numbers, and you know, you can easily play like that and you know, do well. I'm totally analytics FC. If you're gonna, if you're asking, like, you know, a choice between one of the two, I'm totally analytics FC. I do watch games though. I mean, I don't think me watching games. I mean, last season I think I watched. Was it last season where, like, you know, the games were really spread out and pretty much every game was live? I think that was last season, wasn't it? That season was like, you know, I'd watched almost, you know, maybe two games a week live, which is, you know, the most, you know, I've ever kind of watched live. Usually I'll kind of catch up with match of the day, but I don't think that really kind of made a big difference in you know, my FPL rank or, you know, my decision making. I still always kind of referred back to, you know, mainly XG and XA stats, and you know, looking at you know, if there's a few models, I look at FPLreview.com and Mikel's algorithm. So yeah, I'm totally analytics FC. I just think, you know, as Ray kind of as Dan alluded to earlier, it's like when you've got an eye test, you've got maybe 10 people watch a match, but you know, each person will take something different away from that, and you know, it might even, like, you know, kind of contradict. You know, 2 people might even contradict, you know, the eye test theory, and you know, what one person will think, okay, this player played good, but another will think they played bad. So who's right, really? You know, there's too much objectiveness, whereas with analytics, it's a lot more straightforward. It's a lot more fact based. So yeah, for me, analytics.
Yeah, sticking to you. By the way, great answers, guys. So I should watch less football to do well in the game. That's what we're trying to say.
I wouldn't say watch less football, but I say look at more stats. You don't have to decrease your football watching, but I think you know, use that as a secondary source, or, you know, a supplementary source rather than the main source.
Yeah, you know, watch the football to enjoy the football. Don't watch it stressing about fantasy football. You know, just have a good time.
It's a bloody good point. I keep failing in. Thanks, guys. This feels like an intervention. It feels like a world-class FPL intervention, guys. I've set you all up. Thank you. Abdul, we'll stick with you because you shared a fantastic article regarding using AI and algorithms. And, you know, usually when I see stuff shared on Twitter, I don't really click it open. A lot of you guys will know I've just gone there to just share opinion and just browse and shoot the shit, really. But this article was really, really intriguing, and you kind of touched on it a bit when you were advising me with analytics, but maybe you could go a bit further about, you know, the use of algorithms in FPL, and some sources saying that it's cheating, which I don't agree with personally, but I just really wanted your opinion and feedback.
Yeah, I found that hilarious that people think that using algorithms is cheating. Just found it, you know, totally funny. But yeah, of course it's not cheating. I mean, even if you're a hardcore, you know, model user, for example, right, you're following one specific model. Let's just take FPL review, for example. and you're looking at their kind of optimal moves every week. There's still a lot of decisions you have to make yourself, because there's a lot of decisions every week that are really similar. Like, for example, the model will throw up 2 or 3 transfer suggestions, which will be really similar in expected value. So you'll have to make that decision of which route to take. And obviously with the models as well, they don't really have the kind of human information that we have. Like, for example, if there's a late injury to a player, or whether we know that player's been dropped, or we get early team news. So that there's still so many decisions you're making on your own, out with that algorithm. That's just a kind of extreme example I'm giving. But I mean, most people who use AI and algorithms and stats, they're making multiple decisions, and like, if there's 2 people who are using the exact same algorithm and have the exact same style of play, they're going to have they're not going to have this similar seasons in terms of like the same transfer decision. There's still going to be total variations in the transfers and what paths they go down. So yeah, I think people shouldn't really kind of shy away or be afraid of using algorithms and using expected stats. I think people should embrace it and like just kind of give it a try, and just see what it takes them. I think it's something that maybe is a bit new to FPL, in terms of like it's only really kind of come to the forefront in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, so it's quite new. And with anything new, people are a bit kind of skeptical about it. But I think if they kind of embrace it and just kind of go in with an open mind, they'll find that they're really, really helpful.
Yeah, Josh, do you want to add to that, buddy?
Yeah, no, it sounds spot on to me. I think the other thing I'd say, as someone who spends a lot of time thinking about AI and algorithms in completely different contexts, all of these models they're models. Like, they don't tell you how many points are going to be scored. They tell you what a particular programmer or a particular AI thinks is going to happen. And so you can take 2 different models and they'll give you, 2 different optimums. And they're all going to say things like, oh, yeah, Salah's a good player. But at the end of the day, they're not telling you what's going to happen in the future. They're just a kind of decision-making aid. And it's almost, there's various leagues out there where people who build these models are competing the models against each other. And it's almost for them a competition more about how well can my model predict what's going to happen than it is about how well can I manage a fantasy football team. So I think, no matter how widespread these models are, how widespread these algorithms are, at the end of the day, it's just another tool for a sort of engaged manager. You wouldn't say watching Premier League matches, is it cheating? You get far more information than people that don't watch it, but you can still play either way, So it's just a tool that's out there that people can use or people can not use. And I think the people that choose not to use it in the long run are likely to do worse. But that's a statistical thing. And, there's always going to be people who say, I've never looked at a statistic in my life and I finish in the top 100 every year. And that's part of what happens when you have 10 million people playing these games. These outliers do happen. But the fact that so many people using models can consistently do well now is really a sign that the models are getting towards the thinking of like good managers. And that's, I think that's really good for the game, actually.
Dan?
Yeah, I haven't used any of the algorithms myself yet, but I've got a maths background myself, did a maths degree, so I just it does interest me. It's all maths, isn't it? It's all probabilities and numbers. So I probably will take a closer look next season. Because they're giving you. Is it right? So they're sort of giving you the odds, the best, the options that will give you the possibility of the best return. So like, but I sort of think it's how I play the game anyway. I don't take risks. I take all this information in from the content I watch and the fixtures, and I sort of pick the players that are gonna possibly score the most points. So yeah, I'm all for it. I don't think I think I'll trust myself over the algorithms, but I'll certainly factor it into my thinking next season. It's always good to add another tool to your armory, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
That's awesome, guys. So let's go. We just got a couple of community questions. Some were very much repeated on DMs, but I think the first one, and everyone's talking about it at the moment. So I think we'll go with Dan first. So Erling Haaland, the offspring of what was his name? Alfie Anger Haaland, who used to play for Man City.
Yeah.
A lot of talk about him prior to the Man City move. He's got the Man City move, and of course, everyone gets excited about being, in their first squad. I myself am predicting that he's going to be costed at 12 million, but I just wanted your thoughts on Haaland, the lock. Is it fixture dependent? What are your thoughts, really? Because there's a lot of excitement, as there was with Timo Werner, but obviously it can be boosted a lot more. So, yeah, just wanted your thoughts on it, man.
I expect he will be in my Game Week 1 team, just because I expect him to be highly owned. And assuming City have got half-decent fixtures, fixtures don't really matter for City, but assuming he's fresh, he's had a good pre-season, and if the majority of the Twitter template have Haaland, I will probably have Haaland as well. I don't see a point in taking risks at the start of the season. I barely take risks at any point during the season, but certainly Game Week 1. In fact, we spoke about FPL review a couple of times. They do the wheel review chart for the season. Yeah. My risk taker is this sort of dot in the middle of the circle, pretty much zero. So so I expect he'll be in my team at the start of the season. I think someone else, you get a few of the same posts on Twitter during the off season. I think somebody else asked it today. I think it was Abdul. I think he replied with someone said, "Who's the first name on your team sheet?" And I think he replied with anything other than Salah.
Yeah, I think that was the official.
Oh, was it the official?
Yeah. I saw that.
But so it's going to be tricky. We'll obviously see the pricing in a couple of weeks, but I think Haaland will be in my team, probably along with Salah, like Abdul says. Although then I'll probably have to leave Son out, and Son ruined me at the end of last season.
Killed me.
It's so frustrating, wasn't it? Because I love owning Son. I owned Son and Kane for the majority of the season last season when they did so well. So I seen him do so well when I didn't have him was tough, but So you got to expect Haaland to do well, haven't you? Sure. Yeah.
Well, this is one thing. So when I bought in Timo Werner, I bought him in because I thought he'd perform, not because he's going to be really highly owned, especially with the first game week. And I think something that's got me, and this is Abdul, you could probably answer this, is I bought Timo Werner because I watch Bundesliga, but I did kind of think about the Bundesliga tax, if that makes sense. Yeah. Of, you can usually take away 20% when they get into the Premier League. So I bought him into a team because I thought he'd be a great player. I thought he'd perform. He didn't perform. Now, obviously, I was protected by the fact that almost everyone owned him. Now, Haaland, I guess we're all expecting he'll perform because he's a superb player from what we've seen so far. Do you take that into account that you're thinking he'll perform, or do you look at more of, okay, well, he's probably going to be the most templated player at the start of the season?
Sorry. Yeah, but a bit of both, really, because, as Dan says, he's going to be really high loaned. He's Haaland. He's playing for City. Everyone, even from the casuals to the content creators and all, the Twitter community, they're all going to pick him because they expect him to do well. And obviously that leads to his high ownership as well. So it's a bit of both. But if, for example, Haaland was a bit of a secret and no one knew about him, just per se, and then I knew he was a good player, he'd still be in my Game Week 1 team because I think looking at his stats, Even putting into consideration the Bundesliga tax, and that the Bundesliga tax is real, because when you look at players who have come in from the Bundesliga, there's always been a bit of a a downturn in their numbers, obviously, because it's a much harder league. But even with that, I'd have Haaland in my game week 1 team. Obviously, it depends on his price, but I'm not expecting his price to be over 12 million. If he's 11.5, 12, then he'll be in my team. For game week 1. Again, it's that factor that he's going to be a good option, very likely going to be a good option, and very likely to be highly owned as well. So it's going to be a huge risk to kind of go without him.
Josh, yeah, to you as well. I mean, you can think of Haaland, or specifically premium players, but yeah, maybe get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I'm planning to own a premium player in game week 1. I can tell you heard it here first. It's definitely going to happen. I wouldn't say anyone's a lock in my team at the moment, though. Especially not without the prices and stuff out there. But even assuming he's sort of 12 million, say, I think you're right. There's this element of the sort of FOMO and if he's that template and he does play well here, then that's one thing. I think, it's easy to get distracted by shiny new toys, right? And I kind of think, especially at City, looking at his stats. So I'm not making this claim at all, but I think you can definitely ask the question. You look at his stats, you apply the Bundesliga tax, and then you say, well, he's playing for Pep. He's getting, he's not a lock on for 90 minutes every week. Maybe he's playing 60, maybe he's playing 30, maybe he's playing 90 occasionally. And you compare that to, a prime Harry Kane far and away. Are his stats really that much better on that basis? If there's rotation involved in the mix, which, let's face it, it's Man City, there's going to be rotation involved in the mix. I don't think it's as much of a no-brainer as oh yeah, he's got all these amazing stats, let's get him in. I'm not at all saying that I'm not going to have him or that he's not going to rip the league up, because he could very well do. But I don't think it's as easy a decision as all that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good point you made there, Josh, because with Pep, yeah, you're probably looking at his expected minutes and thinking, maybe 65 to 70, and when you look at the Harry Kane, you're looking at 85 to 90. So yeah, it's a very fair point. It does depend a lot on how FPL price him. He's not for example, Salah in my team is a lot, because I don't see Salah being above 30 million. So he's going to be the first player in everybody's team. Whereas Haaland is, it's not he's not a guaranteed lock. But I would still say he's going to be highly likely to be in my team. But yeah, definitely need to take those points into consideration, his expected minutes, and the fact that he is playing for the Pep team.
Perfect. So, sorry, was there something you want to add? Sorry, I looked down.
No.
Shall I move on, guys? Yeah. Okay.
That
that was from FPL Chappie, so thanks for that. Next from FPL Black Wolf, who's been really heading the meets up in America. Got to give credit to Nima for that, because what Nima's done with the meets is phenomenal. So this is a bit long-winded, but do you think any changes should be made in regards to how players are classified, given the emergence of false nines and attacking wingers? So, Josh, before I go to you with this, is in Sky and the Sun, they have changed players' positions. Not during the season, of course, because that would just be absolute anarchy, but season on season, more consistently than what FPL has done. So, for example, when Salah first came, he was a midfielder in the Sun, and then he was moved to a forward, and he's been a forward ever since. They do classify those kind of wide forward players as attackers. Sorry, the wide midfielders, wingers as attackers in the Sun. They're doing it in Sky as well. Do you think that FPL should start to adopt this kind of change as well, Josh, in regards to players like Son, players like Salah, whose average heat maps are usually that of a old school striker?
Yeah, so I have to admit, I don't mind so much whether you classify Salah as a mid or as a striker. I think there's always going to be people who kind of don't fit into that bracket, and that's part of the game. It's like identifying it. I think what I would like to see is a bit more of a balance towards favouring strikers. And I know that historically this has maybe been a thing, and that you've got to rebalance it. But at the minute, attacking defenders, attacking midfielders are just far more valuable to me than strikers are. And I think I don't mind having the likes of Salah and Son classified as midfielders, but I think then you need the Bamfords and the Tonys of the world, the Kanes, to kind of have a bit of a better chance of getting points, other than if they score, they get 1 million. If they don't, they get nothing. But I don't know how you do that, especially. So, yeah, entirely unhelpful. Sorry, creators of FPL, if you're watching. I have no useful feedback for you. But
Dan, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? There was... Do you remember they used to have the all-out attack chip, 550? I think it was only for a season or two. We could have done with that at times earlier in the season because there was no strikers. Yeah. When Kane wasn't performing, Bamford's been out, hasn't he? Antonio went off the boil. We were bereft of... we didn't have any strikers to pick. So, yeah, they've got to get the pricing right, haven't they? I suspect Jota might be a forward next season. Might give us an option, especially depending on what price he is. Because with Mane, I think Mane's off, isn't he? So Jota could be a good striker for us next season. Because I think he pretty much has played striker. Yeah, it's tricky. I don't envy the FPL organisers having to satisfy us. There has been some chat, hasn't there, about prices as well. Like, they don't want to make it too constrained. They don't want to make it so you can't have. They want to make it so the the less engaged players can sort of build a really good team with quite a lot of good players from the big teams. Kind of makes it more exciting. But at the same time, for us, it leads to this template. Personally, I don't mind, but I watched an interview with last season's winner, and he was saying he loves it. It's a lot more fun when there's lots of options, as we saw towards the end of the season. I'm sure you guys like it when there's lots of options, and everyone's got different players. But yeah, they've got a tricky task. I play an auction league where there's only 8 of us, and only one player can have any one player. Do you know what I mean? Only one person.
Oh, like a draft.
A draft. Yeah, it's like a draft. Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. I enjoy that. If anyone hasn't played that yet, it's good too. It's good. So yeah, again, nothing really useful. It's just tricky. It's tricky. The game's changed, hasn't it? The FPL formation hasn't changed in all this time, from what I can remember. My first season was 2008, I think. So yeah, perhaps there are some changes they need to make, and I guess any changes that make it a bit more complicated should be good for us engaged managers to get an edge. So maybe that'd be nice, but I can see them keeping it as simple as possible.
Abdul?
Yeah, totally agree with what Dan said at the end. That I think they'll keep it as it is, just because not to complicate matters, and it is a game for the masses. So they want to attract as many people as possible, from the engaged to the less engaged. So yeah, I mean, I don't really mind at all whether Salah's a forward or a mid, as long as they have that right balance. They don't kind of put too many attacking mids as forwards. Like, for example, putting Foden as a forward, in my opinion, would be a bit too far. But then obviously with Salah, and Jota, for example, you totally understand them being as forwards. But I think they'll keep it as it is, and I don't mind at all. I think they'll keep Salah, and Mane. Well, if he stays, as mids, they'll keep Son as a mid. I even think they'll keep Jota as a mid. To be honest, I think they'll just keep it simple and as less complicated as possible. And yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think it's a huge factor really in the game. But I guess as Dan mentioned, if they did kind of change up the positions, then it would be us, the most engaged managers who would benefit from that.
Brilliant. I'll go to the next question. Dan, this will be to you first. So my issue since playing FPL, Abdul, you said before we recorded that I'm still a baby really with FPL.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just putting my laptop on charge. It's ready to die, so sorry.
I'm out of here. Is one thing Abdul said to me was I'm still a baby because I've only completed my 3rd season. I haven't had a season since the pandemic, so I haven't had like a normal, one game week of, one game a week and stuff like that. It's been very, it's been absolutely insane. But one thing I see in FPL that I don't like is they're players you just can't select because they're not going to bring you any points. And I think this is where the Sun and especially Sky have got it down to a T. Every single player can be a great asset. Højbjerg is a great asset because of his passing numbers. Same with Ben White. You got also the tacklers as well. People like Matic back in the day was an unbelievable asset because the amount of tackles he used to do for Chelsea in Conte's title-winning year with Chelsea. So I'm kind of setting that up, Dan, is that do you think FPL should make changes of that nature, I guess, so that there's more options in regards to assets that we can select that can be a positive for our teams?
Yeah, it's good. It's good follow up to the last question. We were sort of getting into this answering the last question. They probably should make a change, given they haven't in so long. But they haven't made the change, and the number of players playing has gone from strength to strength. So perhaps don't tinker with something that don't change it if it's working. There's as you say, the other games. I don't play the other games. I've dabbled with them in the past. So you're probably more experienced to comment on it. But when I did find it, I guess there was a little bit more to it, which maybe put me off. Maybe I like the simple game, because there are a lot of decisions anyway in FPL, so making it even more complicated. Maybe I do like.
We don't like that.
Sometimes when there's an obvious move to make in a week, you just I'll have a nice easy week this week. But obviously it takes a bit of the fun out. But football's evolved, hasn't it? Maybe the FPL game needs to catch up. But I can't see them doing it anytime soon. I wouldn't be against it if it happened. I'd put more effort into learning these new positions or structure changes, and I'm sure we'd do well. But I'm not sure to increase my enjoyment of it personally.
Abdul?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should, keep it as it is, because it is, one of the, the attractions of FPL is a really simple game, and as you mentioned, you've got like Sky and Dream Team out there who have got the kind of different point structures. So if you want to kind of play that game, you can. The option is there. Whereas FPL is quite a simple game, and I think that is the beauty of it. It's simple. I think some minor price point structure changes would be fine. Like for example, like getting 2 points for winning a penalty or something like that. Really minor. But I think on the whole, I think the game should be left as it is. I think it's totally fine the way it is. I think, as I said, the beauty of FPL, in my opinion, is its simplicity. It's just so so simple compared to other games. In terms of with Sky, you've got like the captain deadline, so you could captain play on Saturday and Sunday, so you've got to be a lot more interactive. With FPL, as soon as that deadline hits, on 11:30 on Saturday morning, that's it for the weekend. So I like that about FPL, and I wouldn't like it if they changed that.
Yeah, you can kind of switch off then for that weekend, isn't it? With Sky, captaincy changes and stuff, Telegraph as well. I can understand where the unneeded stresses are coming.
Totally.
Josh, to you as well?
Yeah, I think there's always something tempting when you are this invested in the game to be like, oh, we should make it more complicated. It'd be better if it's more complicated. And I don't think it would at all. I think it would. I think it'd make it a worse a worse product in terms of accessibility, in terms of player base, in terms of the people that aren't, doing FPL streams. At the same time, I think there were some changes they could make that casual players would not even notice that might make it a lot better. And I think those are around the bonus points and the way that those things work. Because at the moment, players essentially get rewarded for the things that get them points anyway. Right. So if you score a goal, you get a load of bonus points, and then at the end of the game, you get an extra 3 points. It's like, oh, great, the people that were already good assets are now even better assets. And actually, the way that those bonus points are awarded during a game are fairly opaque. Nobody's sitting there watching it going, oh, so-and-so's, made this many crosses or this many successful challenges or whatever. They've got an extra 2 on the BPS. And I think it would be relatively straightforward to just rebalance the way that those are allocated away from the actions that score you FPL points straight out and towards the things which currently don't. So, defenders making tackles or whatever should be rewarded more highly than just saying, well, look, this isn't something they're getting a point for at the moment. So let's just rejig that system so that the things which aren't currently headline point scoring actions should be more highly weighted within that system. And then you'll start seeing defensive defenders getting points even when they let in clean sheet. Sorry, letting a goal lose the clean sheet. Or you'll start seeing defensive midfielders getting more points for those kinds of things. It might just help rebalance things without actually changing the kind of rules or the structure of the game much at all. So that'd be my kind of proposal for it, I guess.
Very good. Anything to add, guys? And I'll go to the final question.
No, all good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you, FPL Black Wolf. So that was 2 for you. So you owe me something, which I'll think about. And this is from me. 5 subs. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, especially the last week. Is will the 5 substitutions affect our FPL decisions? So Abdul, I think I'll throw this one to you first. Will it add a little a seed into your thinking?
Possibly. I mean, I remember about having the 5 subs in the COVID year. When the rules got changed for that year, and I can't remember it making a huge amount of difference, to be honest. So yeah, I guess it would probably mean our benches would be a lot less kind of beneficial. So we might not need to kind of spend so much on our benches, because obviously when you've got 5 subs, then the chance of one of your your subs coming on will be minimal. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, to be honest, because from when the 5 subs was there in the COVID year, I didn't see much change, to be honest. I remember it being the 5 subs, and I remember people thinking that it was going to be it was going to be pretty madness, especially with Pep and Klopp. But what I remembered was that most of the time, majority of the managers never used all the 5 subs. I mean, it was usually 3, and then sometimes 4. If there's an injury or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the difference will be as big as a lot of people think. But you will have to take it into consideration. I think it's not something you can totally ignore. But I think with the 5 subs, I think we'll still be fine. I think we won't really need to. We won't have to drastically change the way we play the game. I still think it'll be fairly similar in terms of how we play, how we pick our team, how the first, second, and third bench options, the price points within them, like having 4.5 defenders, etc., and or a 4.5 million midfielder. I don't think that'll change. So yeah, I don't think it'll make much difference, to be honest.
Brilliant, Josh.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the only thing it does for me is says, well, let's just have a slightly weaker bench. But realistically, how much weaker am I going to make my bench? Maybe I have my second position as instead of a 4.5 defender, they're a 4.0.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes a huge difference in much way to the way that I'll play the game.
And Dan?
I was watching the Above Average FPL podcast. They did one last night, which came out today. I think I was watching that, and they touched on this, and they looked at some data from some of the other leagues. I think mainly the Italian league, and I think they saw there that a lot of the central defenders and the centre mids, like the extra subs, we sort of used on those players quite a lot because they tend to play 90 minutes. So yeah, they saw it in that league that those extra 2 subs we sort of used on those players, which won't affect us anyway because we don't really go for the defensive mids or centre backs. Usually we go to fullbacks.
That's quite interesting.
So yeah, I found that interesting. So I guess I'm in agreement. I don't think it'll affect us too much. I too tend to having a weak bench. Obviously last season was different, but hopefully this season, we'll get a more normal season and we can have our 4 million bench.
Yeah, I think Perisic played like 3,000 minutes. I listened to it as well today from Baker and he's gonna kill me. Don't remember his name. Adam. Yeah. I heard it, and Perisic got the most minutes at the Inter players or something ridiculous like that, and he was playing in that wing back position. So if anything, that just makes him a more attractive asset to own next season. And I think a big thing when I was listening to some pods as well is, what will this do with Reece James and stuff? This tempts me to get him more. I don't. It just now it does now because you can imagine the possible explosivity, and I think he was averaging 1 point. Again, I heard it on there, 1.7 attacking returns or something like that per couple of games, which is insane. That doesn't even include the clean sheet. So yeah. It makes Reece James more attractive to me personally. Yeah, and Abdul, I think you said this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, probably start every game, come off at 65, 70 minutes.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly what Abdul said in one of his tweets. Well, guys, is there anything to add before I wrap this up?
No, nothing from me.
Okay, so first of all, guys, really appreciate each of you joining. Took a few weeks to get it together, but I always appreciate all your times. Dan, it's brilliant to have you make your debut on the channel. I'll make sure I get you back if I can afford you.
Thank you.
But Dan, how can people follow you? And I'll add it to the description.
That's a good question. I think it's at Dan Bennett 3 on Twitter.
It is.
Wait, there's no FPL in there. Is that allowed?
That was I never set up an FPL account. No, it's purely FPL. I mean, I don't tweet that. But,
and of course, you're also part of the Elite 64 and part of the Fix, isn't it? The Fix team.
Yeah. We started that last season with Fix, Fantasy Football Fix, the Elite 11. So yeah, we've got some new features coming out for that in the next season. So we're going to do that again. It should be good. And yeah, the General's Elite 64. That's always my main mini league that I look out for. I think I finished 4th this season, which is I think probably the highest I've finished in that league. But I've not managed to get relegated from it yet. So,
Abdul, how can people follow you?
Yes, FPL_Salah. Yeah, so I've got the FPL in my name. I made a dedicated FPL account. Yeah, I had to. But yeah, FPL_Salah if you want to follow me on Twitter.
Wonderful. And Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ray. I don't have an FPL in my Twitter either, but I should warn people before they do follow me that I do just tweet about stuff that isn't FPL as well. So you have been warned. But it's at Joshua Abel. If you want to know about my latest paper that's coming out soon, be very excited.
Oh, cool.
Tweet of the season. Yeah, no, seriously, don't follow me thinking it's going to be wall-to-wall FPL because you'll be very disappointed.
Yeah, I tried that, Josh. I asked you an FPL question. You were talking to me about maths, so I was like, okay, I'm out. But,
if you think that's bad, try being one of the mathematicians that was following me before I'm on FPL. They're having a horrible time.
Fantastic. So everyone, thank you for viewing. Please like, share, and subscribe, and please follow these 3 gentlemen, quality individuals, and that's what's key to me first. They're all very reciprocal when I've contacted them and stuff, and great content and great individuals. So guys, thanks again for joining, and have a wonderful pre-season, which will last probably another 7 days, I'd say, before the game is being launched. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks all.
Thanks, Ray.